Hi, I'm Melissa, your free range psychic. Today is July 18th, 2021. So today I am going to do part two of my mystery past life studies. This one is on Alex Jones as the potential reincarnation of John Newman Edwards. I'm using for the tarot reading the Sarah Marchetti Gilded Tarot, and we have another Sacred Destiny Oracle card that my guides chose for us. Please stick around for that, and also the musical interlude at the end. I always say this information towards the end of my video, but for those who don't listen the whole way, I am available for personal readings. You can get my information from the description box below, as well as the very end of the video. And I do all kinds of readings, past life, anything in the present, including past and future. I love introducing you to your guardian angels. Also, I am a medium. So that's out of the way. So today, to introduce both Alex Jones and John Newman Edwards, I'm doing something that I try to avoid, because I don't think I'm that great at it, is reading from text. But these articles are just so full of information, and I think that it's the best way to really bring home who these people are and also their similarities. So the first article, and I researched and I finally found something from PBS American Experience. It's a biography on John Newman Edwards. I really don't know who wrote it. They don't give a accreditation or a credit, to the person. But you can go to pbsamericanexperience.org if you want to find this article. I'll also include it below in my description, a link, if you want to find out more. Okay. John Newman Edwards, an ex-soldier, alcoholic, and newspaper editor. John Newman Edwards spent the years after Confederate General Robert E. Lee's surrender searching for ways to venerate the grand Confederate cause. He found the perfect vehicle in Jesse James, and we talked about Jesse James right in the last video. And Edwards was instrumental in creating the myth that the vicious bank robber was actually a noble Southern Robin Hood. No surrender. Born in 1839, Edwards was a native Virginian who came to Missouri in the mid-1850s to work as a newspaper printer. He became a hunting and fishing companion of a man named Joseph Shelby. And when war broke out and Shelby went off to fight for the Confederates, Edwards served as his aide. Florid in speech and flamboyant in battle, Edwards had more horses shut out from under him than any other man in Shelby's command. When the war ended, Shelby and Edwards refused to surrender, crossing into Mexico and living in exile there for almost 2 years. Even from that distance, Edwards seethed at Northern Republicans. In 1866, he wrote that it was only a question of time, I think, before the radicals triumph and commence their devastating work upon the South. Little more than a year after Lee's surrender, Edwards was already trying to portray armed secessionists as innocent victims of the North, rallying the troops. In 1867, Edwards returned to Missouri and resumed newspaper work, beginning as a reporter. Soon he took on the important political role of editor for the recently launched Kansas City Times. Edwards composed a glowing tribute to his former boss called Shelby and His Men, and tried to convince the ex-Confederates to get back into politics. When at the end of 1869 he heard of the ex-bushwhacker named Jesse James, who had used a bank robbery to try and avenge the death of a guerrilla leader called Bloody Bill Anderson, Edwards was intrigued. He made contact with the James brothers, and 6 months after the robbery, the first public statement from Jesse appeared in the Kansas City Times. In it, the young outlaw asserted his innocence while simultaneously claiming that Unionists were the real criminals. This jibed perfectly with Edwards' own beliefs, and he began a campaign to convince the world that Jesse James was a valiant hero, creating a myth. In the run-up to the election of 1872, Edwards devoted much of his editorial venom to denunciations of Republican President Ulysses Grant, corrupt, tyrannical administrations, in quotations, and the carpetbag dynasties that radicals were supposedly foisting on the South. But when he heard of Jesse's daring sunset robbery at the Kansas City Industrial Exposition, Edwards turned his attention back to the fierce rebel in a hyperbolic editorial called The Chivalry of Crime. Edwards said bushwhackers might have sat under Arthur at the Royal, I'll say that again. Edwards said bushwhackers might have sat with Arthur at the Round Table and called on readers to revere the robbers for the very enormity of their outlawry. Soon Edwards, now a leading figure in the Confederate wing of the Democratic Party, was in full myth-making mode, printing a letter from Jesse in which he made the baseless claim that his gang members robbed the rich and give to the poor. In 1873, Edwards wrote a 20-page newspaper supplement glorifying the James Gang, and he later tried to get a bill passed granting Frank and Jesse amnesty for their crimes. Edwards praised Jesse's plain wife as young, accomplished, and beautiful, a true, consistent Christian, and Jesse, who loved seeing his name in print, readily played the part Edwards had created for him, dressing in style and leaving press releases at the scenes of his crimes. He even named his son Jesse Edwards James. Losing interest. For all his bombast, Edwards had no desire to inaugurate another civil war. The newspaperman's objective was to instill pride in ex-Confederates and help orchestrate their return to political power. His lionization of Jesse James was a means to that end. And by 1880, the objective had been largely achieved. Reconstruction was over, and Missouri's legislature and congressional delegation were filled with ex-Confederates. When Jesse returned to crime after a few years in Tennessee, where he was laid low, Edwards no longer answered the outlaw's correspondence. Beset by severe alcoholism, Edwards managed to pen a fiery obituary after learning of Jesse's death, and he acted as an intermediary in arranging for Jesse's brother, Frank, to surrender to Missouri authorities. But Edwards' time, like Jesse's, was passing, and in 1889, the flamboyant newspaperman followed the outlaw he made legend into the ground. Wow, does that ring some bells of familiarity, doesn't it, with what's happening right now? So let's turn to Alex Jones, and I found an article from addictioncenter.com on Alex Jones, because I think I was Googling Alex Jones and alcoholism, just seeing what was going to come up. Because we all know that he has a history of addiction, right, and all kinds of things. But this really lays out his illustrious career from that perspective, but I think it's a pretty informative article just generally on Alex Jones. It's from addictioncenter.com. Alex Jones, InfoWars conspiracy theorist, charged with drunk driving in Austin, Texas, March 11, 2020, by Michael Muldoon. Alex Jones faces a DWI charge after failing a field sobriety test. Alex Jones, a famous conspiracy theorist and founder of Infowars.com, found himself in the Travis County Jail in Austin, Texas, on March 10th after being arrested for driving while intoxicated. He posted a $3,000 bond the next morning. During his show later that day, Jones aired his grievances about his arrest. He cited a copy of the police report with his breathalyzer results, which listed his BAC as .076 and .079 from the night of the arrest. The legal BAC limit for driving in Texas is .08. Local authorities have released a statement about the traffic arrest. They say that the police officer who arrested Jones was responding to a domestic dispute call involving Jones and his ex-wife. Although his BAC was below the legal limit, Jones was reportedly unable to pass a field sobriety test and smelled strongly of alcohol, resulting in the arrest. Who is Alex Jones? Alex Jones hosts one of the most popular conspiracy talk shows on the internet, The Alex Jones Show. His program has dipped in and out of viral fame over the past decade. Known for his wild outbursts and his controversial ideas, Jones has found much of his mainstream exposure filtered through the lens of public outrage. Among his conspiracy theories, Jones has claimed that the U.S. government possesses weather weapons, the Pentagon is using experimental chemicals to turn people and frogs gay, Robert Mueller, the former FBI director who investigated President Donald Trump, is a demon and a pedophile who runs an organization of pedophiles. Hillary Clinton runs a child sex trafficking operation out of a pizza parlor. His most notorious conspiracy theory has embroiled him in an ongoing legal battle. He has asserted multiple times on the Alex Jones Show that the United States government staged the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in 2012, and that no one actually died during that tragic event. Multiple parents had lost children in the mass shooting, and they are suing. They're suing Jones for his comments. The above, Jones' ex-wives recently pursued legal action also to obtain full custody of their children, citing Jones' unstable and unhinged personality. The night he was arrested for his DWI, driving while intoxicated, Jones was driving to another one of his residences in Austin to try to get away from his wife, according to the police affidavit. So that, I think, was an interesting little synopsis of Alex Jones' life from the perspective of a treatment center. And we all know Alex Jones is a pretty bombastic, egotistical, really kind of vitriolic character. And he's one of the main, far-right extreme far-right conspiracy voices. And he spoke at the January 6th rally before the coup also. You can see the similarities with these two people. It's like they're just, one life is just streaming into the next life. But let me read the tarot that my guides chose to illustrate that further. So they both get this card, the Magician reversed. This card, it is speaking of both men misusing information, creating alternative facts to create an alternative reality, using sleight of hand. They're masters at wordsmithing, so to speak, and they use it to mesmerize their listeners and to gain control over them, to use them to make manifest a new reality based on lies, really inspiring them to violence so that, for Edwards, the South may rise again. And I think the same thing with Alex Jones, because it's all about the South rising again, the Confederacy taking over, the destruction of American democracy, and the bringing back the supremacy of the rule of the wealthy, the few over the majority. And it's all about propaganda, misinformation, and their own magnetic personalities, their power to, I would say, almost hypnotize their base into believing this alternative reality, which is not reality. I think even that's an oxymoron, really. This alternative world that is full of lies and only exists on lies. They can't really speak the truth about what they want to do and expect to recruit as many people as they need, or they think they need, to really bring the revolution on that they want to bring on. So with John Newman Edwards, it's his role as he was an author. I included a few books, I think his memoirs, as well as another book he wrote on Shelby, but I think he wrote several others. Alex Jones also writes books on conspiracy theories, using their personalities, their celebrity. Alex Jones, Fox News, and then his own InfoWars presence in his podcasts and his, going to rallies, etc., using that to rally his base. Above, Five of Swords. This card is really exploiting the most base aspects of human nature to get them to support the things like a coup, things like having no regulations on firearms, having banning people of Islamic faith from the country, so forth, the whole Trump agenda, whatever that is, homophobic, misogynistic, racist. But they're focusing in on fear and hatred, on egotism, on the love of money, on greed, to achieve their ends, to rally their people, based on a bunch of lies and twisted up facts that are no longer facts, or outright confabulations. Everything's upside down in that world. So in the past, and this is really the end of John Edwards' life, and this is really a big factor in Alex Jones' life. This is addiction, the King of Cups reversed. So in this cup, the addiction rules the human. They are no longer in control of their own throne, of their own seat of power. The addiction now has taken control. And then my guides gave me a clarifying card, which is the Four of Cups reversed. And I think this really is the same thing. They're controlled by their own desire for their drugs, alcohol, opiates, whatever it is. The motivation, the underlying card is the Devil. So this is the card of outright narcissism, coming from a place of evil, being in alignment with people like Trump and Putin and the world dictators, to bring on an agenda of darkness, of chaos, of misrule, of evil. In the future, this is a Five of Pentacles. So I asked my guides, what does this mean? And they said, at the end of John Edwards' life, he was in a great deal of debt because of his alcoholism and probably other errant appetites. And they say, and so this is all alleged because my guides are showing me this, but I haven't seen it in print or heard it from a source of authority. This is Alex Jones being in a huge amount of debt. They said this is debt to Russian oligarchs. I believe that they said that John Newman Edwards, he was in debt to the banks. So this is coming up for Alex Jones. That's even though he makes a lot of money. He's still in debt due to his appetites. It's just compounding and compounding. So even though there's an illusion of him being wealthy, he's actually, feeling pretty destitute here, or he is destitute. So being destitute, the clarifying card here for both is the Six of Pentacles. What my guides had me hone in on are these hands. So these hands are both Edwards' hands and also Joan's hands, needing money and being controlled by who's ever lending them the money here. And also another meaning of this card that pertains to them is being transactional. So doing whatever for money. They're absolutely people who can be bought, and they will they will do whatever. They would throw their mother under the bus, so to speak. They will do whatever the person is asking them to do for money. So this card is the Tower. This is the outcome card. So it's literally being involved in a failed coup or a failed revolution for John Newman Edwards. This is being involved in the Civil War and being on the losing side. Still pushing for it all his life, but this is the result. And Alex Jones kind of picking up his cause and being involved in a failed coup, which was the January 6th coup. And this is an ongoing coup, but this is a failed coup, I'm telling you. It's a failed coup. And it's just becoming more and more... The coup itself is becoming more exposed, and it is becoming less and less likely. It's just failure of this action or this endeavor. Any history buffs out there who know about John Newman Edwards, very obscure to me, let me know. And also let me know, Alex Jones too. I really don't know that much about him. I try to avoid knowing about Alex Jones. He's just like a demon or a troll or something when you watch him. To me, that's what he looks like. And I'd like to know whether you think it's plausible that potentially Alex Jones was or is the reincarnation of John Newman Edwards. It's amazing to me that even though it seems like, oh, this is something new, this bastardization and revisionism of history, and the use of the media, the far right-wing media, as propaganda to this extreme, and really being this mouthpiece for Russian misinformation. The methods, and the result are just so identical to what was going on in the Civil War and after, by people who are trying to revise it, trying to bring it back, trying to reinstall it, and we're still dealing with the reverberations of it, just like I talked about in the Shelby video. Steve Bannon being the potential reincarnation of General Shelby, who was John Edwards' friend. It blows my mind that it's just all so prescient. It's also so connected, and it's a major theme, a major thread, and you can trace it directly back. Let me know what you think. I am going to give us an oracle card from the Sacred Destiny Oracle deck, as I said earlier. And then there is a musical interlude at the end. Please stick around for that. This card is Enlightenment. The sacred landscape wants you to know enlightenment occurs when one steps out of the confines of the ordinary definition of self and expands into a greater awareness of the self within the universe. Or as the Buddhists might say, the metaverse. You are now reaching into the invisible realm of spirit and connecting with what you cannot see. Forces beneath the surface are supporting you on your journey. Have faith in yourself. You are so much more than you believe yourself to be. Have patience that there is a plan unfolding. The sky is the limit. This card represents enlightenment and signals that you are entering into a time of expansive transformation in a luminous and remarkable way. Trust that the changes ahead are for the greater good, for they most certainly are. Enlightenment. Okay, I've reached the end of this video. Again, another half an hour video. These are long for the videos I usually do. I love you all. Please take care. I will be back soon. Bye.